You don't hear me. Melanie. Turn your Melanie, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, yeah, I'm not live yet because StreamYard for the past few weeks, they got so much traffic that they tell you to try again and all this stuff.
Mm.
So I just want you to know that. So I'm waiting for them to give me an opening so I can get on.
Okay. All right.
They walk in that room, they become yours. And you got this energy inside your soul that says, I am the number one determinant of the success or failure of my students. Hey, y'all, when you get back, kick some butt. I'll see you in the winner's circle celebrating your victory. Let's go. 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 Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, everybody.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 217 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got in the building this morning. I'm a couple minutes late, y'all. Man, StreamYard is getting to a point where there's so many people trying to get on at the same time that it's like a tunnel. You know, you go in New York, you're going into the Highland Tunnel, and it's like 5 lanes trying to merge into this. That's what's happening with StreamYard. So I apologize for being late. We got Sharon Wright in the building. She said good morning to myself and the Queen. And then we got AP Track Patrick Lawrence, who said the same thing. I appreciate y'all. Constance Sherrod is in the building down in Pearl, Mississippi. Grace Castaneda is in Salado, Texas this morning. Good to see you, Grace, always. Got Rodney Richardson's in the building, checking in from Hampton, Virginia. 217, you got that right. Takesha High, Virginia. Marsha Post, San Diego. Denise Young, appreciate you, Marsha. It's early in the morning out there. Denise Young, Maryland, is in the building. Solomon Bazue Jr. is in the building. By the way, Marsha Poe, I have you on my list of folks to call like real soon. So we got you. Mary Baptiste is in Florida. Good to see you this morning. AP Mary Baptiste, I'm glad you're here. Nicholas Duncan, Macon, Georgia. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta, Georgia. My man, I just saw him recently. Principal Otis Kitchen II. Saw him in Tampa. He's in the building. Lysandra Brackens, North Carolina. Michael Benson, good morning to you, sir. I know you sent me something, sir, and you know what kind of schedule I had this week. I'm gonna get to it. I didn't open anything, but I'll get to it today. Nicole Williams, West Palm Beach, Florida. Nolene Martin is in North Texas. Tashika Truesdale, Atlanta, Georgia. Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill, Texas. Dr. Demetrius Scott is down in Alabama. John Herricks is in the building. Dr. Sheikah Houston is in the building. She said, I'll be in and out. I'm on a flight as we speak. There you go. Hey, Sheikah, don't even say the word flight to me. Don't even say that word, man. I don't want to hear about a flight right now. Melissa Jones Chunu in the building, man. She doing big things, man. She out here singing and carrying on, man, preaching, teaching. She's all over. She all over the place, man. We got Nolene Martin is in the building. We got September. Devon Vance Daniels is in the building. Rashad Davis in Vegas. Man, it's been like 100 all over the place. Rashad, what's it where you are? About 150? It's hot out here, man. But when I was in LA, it was like 70. So it's something different going on in LA. Maybe it's hot now, but I was there on Tuesday and it was like 72 degrees. I'm like, it feels good in LA. And then I get to Phoenix the next day and they got this little mist coming from all the buildings to keep people cool because it was like 112, right? So where we at? Yolanda McKinney's in the building. There's the queen of my castle, man. Y'all should see this palatial place, man. Let me wait. Somebody might not know my humor. No, it ain't palatial, man. Right? Bev Hill is in Louisiana, is in the building. Stacy L. Joy. Man, I be running into Stacy lately, man. Every time I go to California, Southern California, Stacy be in the building, man. I was getting myself organized to speak on Tuesday, and I was like right by the front row, and I'm getting my computer right and doing all that. And then I look down, it's Stacy sitting like right there. She's like, I wasn't gonna bother you, right? You doing your thing. Yeah, man. Good to see you, Stacy. She's gonna be one of my guests. It's coming up soon, sometime. I don't know when it is, but it's coming. It's coming. Edwin Garcia, man, I gotta call you. I'll be in touch. He's in the building, New Jersey. Golf WT. I gotta call you too, man. You've been rocking with me for a long time, brother. I gotta call you. I gotta call you. Dr. McKeeva Jeter's in the building. Sandra Krause Ayers is in the building. We got Ricardo Yanis. It's my man. I gotta call you too, man. Oh, some of y'all been rocking with me like from day one, man. I gotta call y'all, man. I gotta call you for 217 weeks. Tommy Vincent Hilliard, Baton Rouge, Louisiana is in the building. I was in Baton Rouge, man, a couple weeks ago. Had a great time. Were you there, Tommy? Were you part of that group? Where we at? April Tramiel is in the building up there in Indianapolis. Josh Tovar from the gym. Hey, Josh, do a rep for me. Matter of fact, hey, Josh, do this for me, Josh Tovar. Put the bar at 250 pounds and then do 10 reps for me. But you got to put it at 250. We got Josh said, I'd be lucky if I could do 150. John Few in the building. Charlena Hottie's in the building. Dr. Lottie M. Watson's in the building. Shayla, let's see. Let me see if I can not butcher your name up. Shayla Isohe, she said he messed it up. Manigault, Madison out there in Maryland. Hey, Shayla, I tried, right? I tried. James Wilburn, I'm getting ready to wrap it up, y'all. I got the big time guest today. We got In Flint out in Atlanta, Georgia. We got Sherry Jones down out in Missouri City, Texas. Christina Perry in Houston. Tony McClenny, I see you in Battle Creek, Michigan. Where we at? Yolanda McKinney, I see you. I think I said you already, but I'm looking for the Jersey homie, and I just found it. I'm closing with Jersey, man. We got the principal. He's known as Principal Williams. Janabu C. Williams. Principal of the last school I led, North Tech. Just had his graduation day before yesterday, I believe it was, the prom. What else they did? They U.S. News and World Report magazine is one of the top high schools in New Jersey and the U.S., led by my East Orange, New Jersey brother, Janabu C. Williams, soon to be Dr. Williams. And he was on with me on this platform, along with two others about a couple months ago. So scroll back and check them out. That's my brother, Janabu C. Williams. Good job, my brother. You're doing it. Keep doing it. Keep soaring. All right, y'all. I can't do no more shout outs. I got a lot. I asked my guests, I said, you got like 2 hours on you? We got a lot to talk about, man. Listen, good. Oh, that don't sound good. We're going to start that over. Rewind. Good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 217 of the AP and New Principals Academy. Man, you know, I still haven't called Apple yet, y'all. So I can't yell my on fire because it's gonna mute. I gotta call them at some point. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just gonna leave it right here. It's been a long week. I was in LA on Tuesday. Matter of fact, shout out to LAUSD, Black Student Achievement Plan Conference on Tuesday, Arizona Alliance of Black School Educators Conference on Wednesday, Juneteenth, Montgomery County Association of Administrators and Principals on Thursday. That's in Montgomery County, Maryland, and Melrose Public Schools on Friday, which is in Massachusetts, right off of Boston. And one of them nights, man, that flight was delayed and I missed the connection. And they had to put me on some late flight and out of the way in Dulles and had to drive 2 hours to Montgomery County. I got in like 3 a.m. and got to bed by 3:30, 4 o'clock, because I still had to do a little planning, you know, I had a keynote the next morning at 8. So got up at about 6, did my thing, and then flew on out there to Boston. So I'm saying that to say this. I'm tired right now. I am tired. But in addition to being tired, I'm on fire, right? I need to scream it out, but it's going to mute until I get this, figure out what's wrong with this new operating system they gave me. So just know I'm blazing. I'm on fire. And I'm ready to have a dynamite 217 session today with Melanie Matthews-Calhoun. So let me go through my rundown real quick. To the first timers here, and I'm feeling these numbers y'all got on here, man. We got a lot of people here. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Hit that share, hit that retweet, hit that repost, and hit that like button, baby. I tell y'all every week, hit that like button. That's how we stimulate and get them algorithms going, right? That's how we stimulate. That's how we activate them. So hit the like. The like is more important than the share, right? Hear me, somebody. The like button is more important than the share button. Hit that like button. YouTubers in particular, hit that like button. Hit that like button. So to the first timers, welcome. Glad you're here. Some of y'all, you're here for the first time because you heard of us for the first time, probably in my travels this week. But don't let this be your last time. But if it's your first time, that means you missed 216 powerful sessions. So what I encourage you to do, go to the YouTube channel, AP and New Principals Academy, and binge watch, right? Just watch. When you're getting ready to watch TV, catch yourself, say, wait a minute, it's something more potent, more relevant to my work than this TV show, the AP and New Principals Academy. So go there and just watch them. They average 90 minutes to 2 hours. It's a lot of content there. And then while you're on the channel, check out the other things, right? That's important because there's just so much out there for you. You just got to be in the building. So check it out. The School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. That's coming up, y'all. It's coming up. It's July 9 and 10. We'll be live and in person in Houston. So make sure you come on out there. Let me see what my man Janabu said. He said, thank you for the shout out, Principal Cafe. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You along with this platform has blessed me immensely. I'll be forever in debt to you. Bless. Education is the key. Leadership matters. Proud Principal North Tech Way. Janabu C. Williams. Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Janabu. Listen, y'all, Principal Williams. Listen, y'all. So come join me in Houston. If you haven't registered yet, come on now. Go to principalkafele.com and register. Just go to my homepage, scroll down to where it says announcements, click the link, register. 2 days. We talking instructional leadership. We'll throw in a few other things as well. But my topic, what is my value to my school? I mean, to my teachers. What is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? I cannot think of a more potent question to ask of oneself outside of, is my school a better school because I lead it? Those are my two quintessential questions. What is my value to the teachers that I supervise instructionally? The book is coming out in December, but in the meantime, we're going to be dealing with the contents of the book at the Institute. So make sure you join me in Houston, July 9 and 10, right? And then come on back to Houston, July 18 through 21. with the Rock Conference, Black Educators Rock, the Rock Conference. We'll be there for the 18th through the 21st. I'll be there the 20th and the 21st. The 21st, I'll be speaking literally all day from 9 to 3 on school leadership. Probably what is the value of what is my value to the teachers I supervise? Probably the same thing. So come on out there and be a part of us. My man Josh Tovar want me to remind you all, he was my guest going back week number 70. So go back to number 70 and 71. Because I hit a wrong button and it took us offline, and so we had to do it in 2 segments. So go back and check that out. You got to go way back. I see you, Dr. Griffin. I see you, Vicky Baxter. So make sure you do that. My books, real quick, because we got some new heads in the building. So we got the Assistant Principal 50 is my baby. This is my baby. I'm getting ready to like shift gears soon, because I don't feel that enough universities are using this book. You know, I know that people get them in PD and, you know, the practitioners, but that graduate school is you know, you got people going and you got people in grad school who are in school to learn how to become a principal, right? Being prepared to become a principal, but they're not going to be a principal unless they're in a charter school and they're going to bypass the AP position. They're not going to be a principal. They're going to be an AP. So there needs to be books in that curriculum, in that program, that grad school program that speak to becoming an assistant principal. And I don't mind saying this publicly. There should be nobody leaving grad school without having read this book. Professor, if you're watching, Dean of Education, if you're watching, President of the university, if you're watching, Head of the Education Department, if you're watching. Nobody, no principal candidate should come out of any grad school in America. Hear me, somebody. I'm saying, I'm proclaiming it, that nobody should be coming out of grad school in America in the educational leadership program and they were not exposed to the Assistant Principal 50. I will consider that, to use the words of Stephen A. Smith, blasphemy, right? It's got to be utilized. They got to learn the assistant principalship, not just go to college, the grad school, and learn to be a position that you're not going to see, some of us, for 5 to 10 years. You still remember those textbooks? You going into the assistant principalship. This is the book. And let me be a little bolder than I've been thus far. This is the capital T, capital H, capital E assistant principal book on the planet. Yeah, I said it. I said it. There's no other book that should be ahead of this one as it relates to assistant principal leadership. I said it. That's called confidence, right? But then while you're at it, go ahead and get this. I see you, Stallings. That's right. He says, say it again. Nobody, no school should have this book. Should not have this book. I'm gonna put you on that screen, Stallings. But then while you at it, just go ahead and get this. The assistant principal identity. And then while you at it, and I'll say this, hey, Stallings, let me say this. Not only that assistant principal 50, but this too, to talk about the principalship, but in terms of like professional development, this has got to be one of the books. This is a quick read, but it's got a lot of punch to it. You want to be a principal, huh? You want to be an assistant principal, huh? Ain't no way. This is another one that them grad schools should have. Every grad school program in America should have this. And then lastly, you put it in the chat right now, somebody. If you got a question that has more punch, more potency, more sting for a leader to ask of themselves than this question, put it in the chat. Because in my mind, the question don't exist. Is my school a better school because I lead it? What better question could we ask ourselves, man? That's the question. I see you, Johnny Cruz. Craig, where you been? Where you been? Maybe I see you at the Black Educators Rock Conference. I shouldn't say Johnny Cruz Craig. I should say Dr. Johnny Cruz Craig, man. So good to see you, Doc. Be sure to subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. And then like and follow the AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page. I'm just going to say right now, y'all, I doubt I write another essay or commentary until September, because this summer schedule I'm on right now, this ain't for everybody. This for people who are not human like me, right? So this not for everybody, man. It's a lot. My wife, I always say to my wife, will you come with me on this trip? Come with me on this trip. My wife's like, you really think I'm coming on that trip? And then when she found out about what I dealt with that driving and all that the other day, she said, that's why I don't come with you. Right? That's why I don't come. Because I ran through that airport. I had to make this flight in Minneapolis, the connection that they gave me, but it was on the opposite end of the airport, and they don't have the rail system in there. I was running through there like Carl Lewis, baby. Oh man, with my bag, man. I'm running through there. Because like a lot of times when I see people run through the airport, I be laughing. I be like, look at them. Right? So I do that, right? Because they be looking funny, man. They running, bumping into people and stuff. So I'm like, look at them. Look at that guy, man. But it was me this time, man. It was me. I'm like, I'm running, man. I'm weaving it. Yo, slide over, right? I'm on the moving walkway, So it was me. Like, hey, Sean Hurt. I said Carl Lewis because I can't think of the contemporary guys, right? Oh, Usain Bolt, but he retired, so he old too now. But I'm running, man. And then I got there. I was like, I said to the gate agent, I know you're gonna let me on this flight, right? I was like that. I even started coughing. Right? I said, I don't have COVID. Listen, you gonna let me on this flight, right? She's like, no, we were waiting for you. We knew you were coming. I said, praise God, man. So they let me on. And then I was looking at the people, right? Because they know the flight's late now. They looking at me like everybody's sitting there like this here. And I got on there like, forget y'all, man. Because you've been in my shoes before. You've been in my shoes. Forget y'all. Now I'm the one that's late. So we all gonna be late. All right, y'all. I know y'all came on here. We got some stuff to talk about. All right, let me go. Real quick, y'all. My monologue, I'm gonna keep it short because I've been running my mouth. Your students, all of y'all had graduation now, I would think. Everybody had graduation. So your students graduated, and now their next level has to manifest, whatever that is. Some of them graduated from high school. Some of them going into high school from middle school. Some graduate. Matter of fact, we go all the way back. Some graduated from preschool, right? They got preschool graduations, right? Some graduate from kindergarten. They got kindergarten graduations. And then some graduate from 5th grade, and you know what it is. So whatever they graduated from now, there's a new beginning, because we call it a commencement. So it's a beginning of something. Well, I want to remind you of something. And my reminder is this for my commentary. When those youngsters walked across those stages, you graduated too. Let that marinate for a second. You graduated too. What am I saying? When they walked across that stage, that brought the school year to an end. Well, it didn't just end for the children, the students. It ended for you. It doesn't mean you're not going to work over the summer, but for all intents and purposes, the school year of 2023-24 ended for you too. So I ask you this: if graduation for the students now opens the doors for the new horizon, I'm asking you about your new horizon. I don't mean in terms of you going into another job, but I mean now that you've finished this year, what will next year look like? Right? Are you preparing for it? What will be different about it? If I graduate from senior year, high school, my next year, whatever that may be, is not going to look like senior year. If I graduate from 8th grade, my next year as a freshman is not going to look like my 8th grade year. This is a new horizon. If I graduate from pre-K, my next year in kindergarten is not going to look like pre-K. It's a different experience. So I'm asking you, since your students graduated and therefore you graduated, what are you projecting that your new horizon in your new capacity, your same capacity, but a new year, what will that look like? How will it be better? How will it be greater? How will you be that much more significant in the role that you play? That's what I'm asking. So you graduated. So as a leader or an aspiring leader on this platform, you got to act like you graduated and make sure that next year is at a different level than this year was. Even if you were the principal of the year, there is still significant margin for improvement. Keep that in mind. Congratulations on your graduation. Enough said. I got the big time guest in the building, but if I could just say this to you real quick, let me show you. I got to talk to you about my jersey, right? I'm gonna be quick with this, but I want to put this banner up. You see it on the bottom. Look what I'm wearing, y'all. That's my phone. Jeez, hand me that. Why would somebody call me while they know I'm doing this? What name is showing up? Right? Oh, you don't see it? Oh, it's in my pocket. All right, y'all. We live and acting stupid, right? So phone was ringing. It's in my pocket. Listen, Willie Mays, the late great Willie Mays, made his transition this week, a couple of days ago. So I decided I got to rock a Willie Mays jersey. Those of you that don't know the history, you think that Willie Mays played for the New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants and the New York Mets only. But no, that's not his origin. His origin, I mean, you know, we can go all the way back to when he was a kid, but I'm talking about professionally. I'm rocking it right now. Let me put up my let me flex my biceps for a second. I'm flexing, man. Let me flex my biceps. Birmingham. That's where he's from. And he wound up playing for the Birmingham Black Barons. The Birmingham Black Barons as a teenager. Now, I will say, you know, he batted up against Satchel Paige, and it's a story. I'm not going to give you the story because it'll take too much time, maybe next week. But Satchel Paige did rock him. Satchel Paige rocked him, right? 3 strikes. He said, "Go sit down." Right? 3 strikes. and the third strike, the third pitch, as the ball was in the air, Willie Mays was 17 years old. As the ball was in the air, he yelled out to Willie Mays, "Go sit down." And Willie Mays swung at it and he struck out, man. But that's a true story, right? So, but Willie was 17 years old at the time. He emerged to become, and I'll put it on record, I don't care, you could debate me all you want. Willie Mays is the best baseball player to ever live. To ever live. The best baseball player to ever live. That's across racial groups. There's nobody ever born that's a better baseball player than Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, right? So salute to Willie Mays. I dedicated today's session to Willie Mays, and I'm rocking his jersey that he wore in the Negro Leagues. Enough said. Let's go. I got the big time guest. See, she probably said, "Man, when you gonna bring me up, Kafele, man? You running your mouth, man? Come on." So here we go. Let me change that background right quick before I bring her up here. Where we at? Here we go. Change that background. Yeah, there we go. Now we got it. We got Melanie Matthews-Calhoun in the building. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you, and you forgive me for going so long. I told you 10 minutes, and it's 11:24. Yeah.
You're good. I was all in. I was a captive audience, too. You were good.
I appreciate you. Hey, Stallings, I was getting ready to ask you, was I wrong on Willie Mays with the best? But I just saw you said no debate, so we here. Hey, Melanie, good to have you here. You know, to the fam out there, I got an expert on here, instructional coach, instructional literacy coach in the building. And as you all know, that's an important position, an extremely important position. Let somebody know, tag somebody that I'm finished my commentary and all that. Let them know we are here. We're going to get down. You know, my topic, you're one of the leaders. You're one of the leaders in your school. But the question is, can the students read, right? Can the students read under your leadership, right? Under your teacher's tutelage. Can the students read? So we're going to talk about a few things today. But I want to share the bio first. She sent me the short one, so I'll be able to do this quickly. Because some folks, they be sending me the whole 8.5 by 11 joint, right? Melanie Matthews-Calhoun is a lifelong learner with 27 years in education. She's a published author of 3 books: Inside Instructional Coaching, The Formula 101, must-have forms for instructional coaches, and The Productive Coach. I have The Productive Coach, but it's sitting on the other side of the room. So we're going to get that in a little while. It's a planner. And we're going to talk about that because it's something that I highly recommend. I went through it when I got home late last night, and I said, yeah, that's good stuff. Melanie works with schools, districts, and organizations nationwide, serving as a thought partner and leader in improving the quality of classroom instruction. She founded Literacy at Work, LLC in 2008 after recognizing a critical, I want you to hear this line real quick, after recognizing a critical need for quality literacy instruction in elementary school. I'm going to say that again because it's one of my questions soon. After recognizing a critical need for quality literacy instruction in elementary school. And we're going to break down this word literacy, by the way, too. Because as we were talking offline, a lot of times people think of reading with literacy, but she's going to break that down. She has since expanded Literacy at Work to include training and development for schools and organizational leaders. Melanie's also the creator and host of the Mind Your Coaching Institute, an annual virtual learning experience helping instructional leaders transform their coaching and leadership practices. Her experience, coupled with her passion for teaching adult learners, is why Melanie loves to help educators master the art and craft of coaching. Strong stuff, folks. Again, hit the retweet, the repost, the share, the like button, the like button, the like button. Tag them Facebook groups for me, those leadership groups, those principal leadership groups, assistant principal leadership groups. Let them know. Call someone, tag someone. We here. Hey, Melanie, let's get going. If I could take Melanie Matthews-Calhoun and departmentalize you for a second, just as an educator, not as a coach, but as an educator, as I ask every guest that's been on this platform, who is Melanie Matthews-Calhoun?
Melanie Matthews-Calhoun, first is Melanie. She's the kid from the east side of Detroit. What up, though, to all of my Detroit peeps out there who always had a passion for teaching. When I was younger, growing up on the east side of Detroit, I used to play, and I don't know if anybody else is familiar with this, but we used to play rock teacher. And I was always the rock teacher. So Melanie Matthews-Calhoun is someone who is passionate about the work that I do. I'm passionate about our babies learning how to read and be productive citizens in this United States of America. And so with that passion comes the obligation, the commitment, the tenacity to get everybody on board to share in my passion. You know, I'm just a person who I'm able to see the good in people. I'm able to see the possibilities. I'm able to see people's strengths and draw towards their strengths and help them to believe and visualize and materialize what they are and what encompasses them. So Melanie is this person who has a passion for educating our students. And Melanie is also a person who has a passion for educating adults, because we have to educate the adults to get the students educated so that they can become these productive citizens in these United States.
I love it. And, you know, the word, you know, anybody that knows me, the word that stands out most, Melanie, is the word passion. See, I can't be productive. I can't do things at an optimal level if that passion is not there to drive it. See, it's like, I mean, I couldn't have done the drive at 1 o'clock in the morning if the passion to speak to that audience the next day wasn't there. You know, that was that. It would have been perfectly fine to call the client and say, "Look, the travel didn't work out. Yeah, I'm not doing it because I'm so passionate about what's going to happen when I get there." You know, so that passion. Hey, to the folks, to the fam out there watching right now, and to the ones who will see the video later, ask yourself. In fact, let me get my mirror. It ain't clean, Josh. I gotta ask yourself. Are you passionate about your work? Not just do you do the work at a high level, but is that passion there for what you do? That matters. You know, Melanie, you founded Literacy at Works, and I had said when I read your bio, I was gonna Literacy at Work, LLC. I said that in 2008. I said I was gonna reread that one part, and let me do that. You said after recognizing a critical need, you founded it for quality literacy instruction in elementary school. I want to ask you a few things about that, but first, tell us about Melanie Matthews-Calhoun as an educator outside of the entrepreneurial role. Like what is it that you've done? What is it that you do that fueled this passion for literacy at work?
So I'll go back even a little further. When I enrolled in my master's program, you know, and I am a reading specialist. It's an endorsement on my teaching certificate. When I enrolled in this master's program, of course, I had to take all of these classes, this coursework pertaining to literacy. And so what I was doing was I was actually taking what I was learning in my courses and applying it to my classroom practice. Because I had to know that if what I'm being taught is actually relatable or can transfer to my classroom instruction. So when doing that, you know, I learned a lot. I think my students learned a lot. And this is when I was teaching first grade. I've taught all the way through middle school. So my kids learned a lot. I was really feeling good. I was able to apply all of those learnings into my everyday practice. And then what happened is No Child Left Behind came, and now there was a critical need for literacy coaches. At that time, I decided to apply to become a literacy coach. What I did not know is when I took the position, I would be at a vantage point to see everybody's classrooms. And so with me seeing everybody's classrooms, I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what I was taught in school as to how to instruct for literacy in these lower grades. That's not what I learned. And why aren't they doing A, B, and C? And it makes sense if they did this that way. So with that, I developed another lens into other people's classrooms to see what I had not been seeing. I would have people come into my room, like when the psychologist came into the room to get the students or whomever else, you know, they will always say, you're doing a really good job in teaching. And I'm just like, I'm just doing what I do. Everybody's doing this. But once I had an opportunity to get outside of my own silo and become a part of the whole school culture, then I could see, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not going on there. So what happened is seeing that gap between what students should be knowing and learning how to do and what they weren't kind of fueled me like, okay, I took the charge. I'm like, I need to do something. I need to stand up. I need to make this right. And so I was fortunate to have a principal, Dr. Wilson. I'm going to shout him out because he was like the best principal I ever had. He saw my potential and he saw my passion and my fire. So one day he said, Matthews, I want you to do a segment during staff meeting about homework and how much homework is appropriate for the different grade levels. We were in a K-8 school. And so when I did that, when I gave that presentation, when I talked amongst my peers about the appropriate amount of time homework should be, students should spend on homework every night, teachers started coming to me. They started coming like, can you help me with this? I am having a difficult time with this. I'm finding challenges in this area. So that is kind of what fueled my fire to take this to another level. But initially, just seeing how literacy instruction was being taught and
Hmm.
what the kids really needed to know, that just didn't sit well with me.
Mm. Yeah, you know, as you said that, in terms of you being in the grad program and then you applying that to what you were doing in real time,
Mm-hmm.
it made me think of something. Is a lot of times when I'm working with a staff, I'll say to them, particularly when I'm working with leaders, I say, I want you to try to do this. This is not easy for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but here you are sitting right here in this chair. Let's stand up. So we stand up. I say, see if you can mentally step outside of you while you're still standing in that same space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like take a step and step outside and now look at you. And there's, you know, some of them it's easy. So others it's like, it's a little bit different. I say, now, as you look at you,
Mm-hmm.
are you pleased with what you see as it relates to leadership? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like that person that you see as a leader? And they say, man, I got some work I gotta do. Because now I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
out, I'm looking at me through a third party lens, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought about that when you were going to school to learn one thing, but you started applying it to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of triggered that thought, so to speak. And I'll just throw that at the folks out there. Try to step outside yourself and watch you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't just do the work. Step outside and take a look at you and ask yourself, am I pleased with what I see? I don't mean appearance now. I mean the
Mm-hmm.
work. Am I pleased with what I see? Let's
And
stay
you know
along.
what that reminds me of, not to interrupt you, but it reminds
Are you
me
good?
of Dr. Strange when he goes into the astro body and he's looking at himself and wondering, okay, am I going to make it? Am I going to survive? And it
Mm,
reminds me of that because you have to, but it takes vulnerability to do that. And it takes for people to be accountable for what they're doing or what they're not doing
yeah,
in order for them to do that and
yeah,
to be that way and to accept it. So the one of the things is that we have to know that as educators, we are lifelong learners. And as educators, if you don't take on that persona of being a lifelong learner, then guess what? You're not going to ever see faults in anything you do.
yeah,
So, in the realm of taking responsibility and being accountable, these are things that, as an educator, you signed up to do for the life of your career.
that's right.
And when you do that, when you're able to step outside and see yourself and
Hmm.
reflect, because I don't understand how we can educate or be educators without being in the practice of reflection.
Yeah,
When we can reflect, and when you're reflecting, it's honest. It's no time to sham yourself. It's only you and your brain.
yeah,
So being honest and truthful and deep reflection, and then there out of that can come some honesty, some opportunities for you to grow and for you to stretch and for you to take advantage of different learning opportunities and participate in different learning events, because we can't give our best if we're not trying to be our best.
mm, mm,
So you have to be able, like you said, to step away and take an honest look at yourself. When I was doing that, when I was transferring that learning into my classroom, into practice, I saw a lot of deficits. And I improved on those because at the end of the day, it is about Melanie, but it's also about our kids. And that's what we have to keep in mind. Sometimes we personalize this so much, and I understand it. I know that there are things that are beyond our control that we wish could make a better world in education, but with those things that are in our control, what are
yeah,
you doing to maximize that?
yeah, yeah. You know, you said something that I want to highlight. You said we can't give our best if we're not willing to be our best.
Mm-hmm.
And see that the word for me is willing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because at the root of willing is will. And do I have the will
Mm-hmm.
To be. And you know, I like to make the distinction between to be versus to strive to be.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different conversations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So do I have the will, and as you said, the willingness to be the best that I can be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'll just, as I always do, I flip it on to the fam out there. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have the willingness to be the best you that you can be as a leader? That matters.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You know, but that word will, that's, you know, that's my word. You know, like in education, we can always talk about the skill of young people.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that word will it supersedes skill. I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to develop the skill if I don't have the will to do it.
That's it.
I gotta
That's
want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta have people like you to help to bring out the will. I can't teach will.
Mm-hmm.
But if I got people around me who can help me to unleash it so that I could be that person.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Hey, Melanie, this word literacy,
Yes.
you know, we associate it with reading so much.
Mm-hmm.
Dispel that for us.
So at the very basic level, whenever we hear literacy, we automatically associate the word literacy with reading. And that might be true in some cases, but it's not true in all cases. So when we hear literacy, okay, I'll go to that story in a minute. When we hear literacy, we think, okay, now how well can a person read? And can they do this? And can they comprehend the text? Which is true. But literacy or literacies are also skills that you need in particular areas in order for you to succeed. So, with that, just think of it in this way. We hear a lot about financial literacy, right?
Yeah.
So, financial literacy isn't only about reading bank statements or things like that. It's having the knowledge and the skills to do what is needed to be done at that time for you to either up level your financial stance, B, be able to read and understand the stock market, C, being able to know what kinds of investments are best for you. Is it dividends? Is it annuities? Is it CDs or things of that nature? That's financial literacy. It's how to, and I know we don't balance checkbooks anymore, but it's how to balance a checkbook, and it's how to read your online statement. That's financial literacy, being able to know and understand how money works. And so when we're talking about literacy, we're talking about knowing, particularly in subject areas, when we're talking about content areas, what does it take for a student to be successful in that particular content area? And so, even sparsing it out even further, so many times in elementary school, we have our literacies that we teach the kids. We have phonemic awareness. It's all the science of reading, right? We have phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency. K through 5. Once we cross over to 6, secondary, 6 through 12th grades, then that literacy transforms into disciplinary literacy. And now we're teaching students how to read, write, think, analyze like a scientist, how to read, write, think, and analyze like a historian, like an artist, because it goes beyond the 4 core, like a computer scientist. All of these content areas have literacies in those so that the students can be successful in that course. So when we're talking about literacy, it's much broader than just reading. I was recently conducting a PD with middle school teachers, and one of the teachers, who was a science teacher, said, so how am I supposed to teach these kids how to read in a small group? Just totally. And in his defense, disciplinary literacy is new to him too. So I had to really break it down and get him to understand, sir, it's not about teaching the students how to read. It's about teaching students how to look at your content through the eyes of a scientist. What do scientists look for? What are they investigating? So it's this thing where it's so hard to communicate that literacy isn't just reading, but literacy contains those skills to be successful in particular areas of life.
That's some powerful stuff, y'all. So I know you haven't been in the principal role,
Mm-hmm.
you're in education, so you're around principals, and as a literacy coach, you understand the role of a principal. So I want
Absolutely.
to ask you this question as it relates to the overwhelming majority of the people who tune in every week. With everything you just said,
Mm-hmm.
what are the implications to those leaders that supervise teachers?
Mm-hmm. So I work very closely with administrators, building level and district level. So one thing is that we have to, as a part of my job as being a literacy coach or an instructional coach, my job is to also inform and educate building leaders. Um, we want everyone to be an instructional leader, but sometimes that's not the case. And so my job is to inform them or upload them with the information that is needed to not only get the ball moving in the school when it comes to different initiatives, but also being a supportive factor in my job so that I can help push that work along, but also being able to know and understand the real reason of coaching and how he or she can best utilize me to get those messages across. Now, when I'm working with principals and I'm involved in new learning for me or it's a refresher, I always invite the principals to attend. Now, principals, we know that your plates are beyond full, but I admire those principals who take the time to get this learning so that we can sit elbow to elbow and talk about strategies and practices to best get the teachers to um, facilitate the learning needed to implement whatever initiative we have. So for principals, I implore you to really sit with your instructional coach, literacy coach, or whomever you have in the building that's that educational leader that's not a principal, and work side by side in implementation strategies so that you can both be on the same team, on the same page at the same time.
You said some stuff here, and I love what Nicole Williams just said. That's good. That's really good information. Now
Mhm.
I see the bigger picture. That's why we have this platform. That is she nailed it. That's why I wake up on Saturdays and do this. That's why I spend an entire week preparing for a Saturday session. So with that being said, you said something that really got me thinking.
Mhm.
You said that ideally the principal is the instructional leader, but that can't always happen. All
Mhm.
right. I'm going. I ain't even looking at my notes right now. We having a conversation here. So I'm principal because I'm gonna speak for a lot of people out here on this one. I'm principal. I'm AP,
Mhm.
and I listen to Principal Kafele. I listen to the other people I listen to. I listen to the guests, right? I read certain information. I want to be this instructional leader that all these people talk about, but with what's on my plate, the
Mhm.
prevailing culture in my school, I just can't seem to free up to be that not only person that goes into
Mhm.
classrooms, but to be that coach I need to be. What I want because of something you said, what I want
Mhm.
to because of that which you had said, I want to ask you this. Is there a way that in part, not in totality, but in part, that instructional coach can play that role of that instructional leader that I want to be,
Mhm.
but I can't seem to be? How can this person be that person so that I know that my teacher is still getting the coaching that I need that teacher to receive?
So, one thing to do is to make sure that you're in constant communication because I'll give you a quick scenario. So, in the current district where I'm working, disciplinary literacy is our initiative for secondary education. So, with that, I'm going to talk about change later, but change is difficult for schools to move. The individuals involved in that change can make or break an initiative. So we have this disciplinary literacy initiative in my current district. What I've done, because I was also a new coach, so I'm building relationships like crazy. I'm trying to get people to trust me, to believe in me, to have confidence in me. I'm doing that kind of stuff. So what I've done is I get together everything that needs to be rolled out. This is what we can do at our next staff meeting. How about we do this? We take a look at how, or the strategies that the teachers are currently using to teach, for example, close reading. What strategies are they using to teach informational text? And let's look at the similarities between all content areas. So when I told that to him, because he is pretty busy, that's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
When I told that to him, he said, okay, put that in an email and email it to me. I emailed it to him. He put it in the staff notes. And just like magic, next staff meeting, everybody had their chart papers. They were looking and comparing notes as to how informational text is being taught in science versus social studies versus math. And so with that kind of relationship, in order to be that instructional leader in the building, I think is of great importance that you have a great relationship with your building leaders, with both the principal and the assistant principal, because at the end of the day, everybody is there for one person, one band, one sound, and that is to get the kids to where they need to be academically. Yeah. And so when you have that relationship where I'm gonna throw this in there's no power struggle, because sometimes that can be a cause of this non-communication happening. But when you have that kind of open communication and you're on the same page, then I, as an instructional leader of that school, because I am an instructional leader, can carry out some of those duties and responsibilities of the principal, who is also an instructional leader, but may be bogged down with other things that he or she needs to do.
Love it. Love it. You talk about this critical need for quality literacy instruction.
Mm-hmm.
But as I continue to go off script, why is there a critical need? What is happening in our world? And it's nothing new. It's generational. Mm-hmm. But why do we find that 2024 there continues to be a critical, and that's the key word in this one, critical need for quality literacy instruction?
So let me just run these stats right quick. And I'm going to purely read, because I don't want to mix up the numbers. And these come from, these numbers I'm about to read comes from the National Literacy Institute. And this is from this year. So this is right on the pulse of where we are right now. So on average, 79% of US adults nationwide are literate right now in 2024. So that means 21% are not. They're illiterate adults. So how do we have so many illiterate adults? So when we look at everything, we have to go back to the education system. But this was most astonishing to me, that 54% of adults have a literacy level below sixth grade. That's why quality literacy instruction is imperative. We have over half of the adults living in these United States of America who are literate only up to a sixth grade level. Yeah. I heard a long time ago that newspapers were written not at above an eighth grade level, so that people can be able to read those. So that's what we have to think about. And then when we look at the US in comparison to all other countries in this world globally, we rank 36th in literacy. 36 in this first world country. We're ranking 36. That is alarming. And if that doesn't put fire under anybody, I don't know what will. That means that our jobs in any educational institution, especially formal education, K-12, we need to do something about this. It's in our hands. And I know that sometimes there can be factors such as different policies, but let's look at what we can do. Let's look at what we can do, because so many times we go to the deficit side of thinking and we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't okay, I hear you, but what can we do? And so therefore we have to have quality literacy instruction. Now, what is quality literacy instruction? Let's go there.
Yeah.
So we have research everywhere. I am a believer that I can take research informed strategies and couple those with best practices to give me a quality instruction. We have the science of reading. I was brought up as a reading specialist on the science of reading. It works. It works. And so when I go into classrooms and I see worksheet after worksheet after worksheet after worksheet, and I see total disengagement, and I see the teacher not being a facilitator of learning rather than a lecturer, especially in secondary education. You know, there's a classroom that I visit has a podium. I'm like, why do you need a podium? Like, you're supposed to go beyond the lecture. I know this is secondary education, but where are your small groups? How are you meeting the needs of the students in your classrooms who need specific skill instruction? And I don't see small groups occurring in the classroom. What are you doing? So we have to have quality literacy instruction that is explicit. You know, we're going to tell people how to do this. Now, I know so many people are against scripted programs, but sometimes, and that's the reason why we have a tool belt. That's a tool in our belt that we can utilize. Take it out. Let's see what teaching to fidelity looks like. And I know that fidelity, bad word. But when we're trying to move the needle, we need to expand all of our time, effort, and energy in looking at those things that's going to move that needle so that our kids can be literate, so that they won't be 54% of America's population with can't read higher than a 6th grade level. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. Interesting comment I put up. Roger Jack says from Trinidad, he's from Trinidad and Tobago. Literacy rate is 99%. The same throughout much of the Caribbean. Any speculative thoughts from you as to why that would be?
You know what, that's a good question. The first thought that I have is the value of education. You know, sometimes all of us on here now, we know nothing but the current school system that's happening now. The industrialized school system. That's what we know. That's what we were brought up in. And to us, schooling is second nature. You know, states make policies, they have laws. You have to be in school. I know here in Michigan, 16 until at least you're 16. But I think that we don't value education for so many different reasons. People feel entitled to, okay, well, I'm going to send my kids to school and you're going to do what you're going to do. But meanwhile, little Johnny or little Sally, if the teacher says and does anything to you, you let me know so then I can deal with them. You know, so that value isn't there. Education is here in America has been a thing that, you know, you're going to send your kids there and the teachers are going to do what they're going to do. And yes, we want them to be educated, but at the same time, you know, we have 12 whole years to go. We can pass kids through the system. They really don't have to know, do, or think for themselves. We'll just pass them through, which is how we get to these high illiteracy rates. So I think that the value of education here is one of the factors that our illiteracy rates are not as Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah. It's I'm probably gonna want to dialogue with that individual at some point just to hear from that vantage point why that might be. You know, Melanie, to get back on my script, I'm an African-American man. I need to preface my remarks with that. I therefore tend to gravitate to things African-American.
Yes.
It doesn't make me anti anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I identify with because that's who and what I am. So I say that to say, like, for example, if I decide it would be a nice day to go to Broadway. I'm in Jersey, so I'm a stone's throw from New York City. I'm in Jersey City. Nice day to go to Broadway. Well, when I scroll the menu of plays, I'm looking for that play that's a Black play. Right? I gravitate to football and basketball. There's a lot of Black players, right? And just so many other things. When I was telling my audience yesterday in Boston that the first time I went to Boston, I went to King Street because King Street is where Crispus Attucks was murdered. King Street was the first person, not the first Black person, but the first person to lose their life, which launched the American Revolution, the independence of this country. Is that feedback on your side or me?
No, your side.
I don't know what that is. We got to talk through that because I have no idea. Hit your mute for a second and then come back. It's still there. All right. It sounds like a lawnmower or something.
It is a lawnmower.
Oh, it's on your side? Okay, then.
It's on my side. I thought it was feedback, but yeah, there.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it because my guy might be here today too. Listen, so I was telling them, I said, when I went to Boston with my wife for the first time, I said, I wanted to see the marker for where Crispus Attucks died, the first person to die for America's independence. And the reason is because he's Black. So because the rest of colonial Boston, I don't have an interest in. I really don't. Right? Because it's all oppression as it relates to Black people. So I'm saying that to say this: reading. I tend to read in terms of when I'm reading independently, as opposed to something I have to read in a class or something. I tend to read, or professional development that's required back when I was a principal and teacher. I tend to gravitate to books that speak to my world, that speak to my identity. They're culturally relevant for me. I became a reader when I started reading history as related to Black people. So I'm saying all of this to say this. Talk to us about Melanie Matthews-Calhoun's perspective on reading material that is culturally relevant for Black children.
So Black children need to see themselves in the text. K-12, they need to see themselves literally. They need to see themselves in the words. They need to be able to make connections to different things that they're going through. So the kind of text that we have in classrooms, especially in urban classrooms or wherever the Black population is high, they need to be reflective of our babies. And that's just plain and simple. Yeah. When I was at the Learning Forward conference a couple years ago in December, where I saw you, there was a keynote. Jessica Matthews. She lives here in Michigan. She's from Flintstone. Yeah. And one thing that she said during her keynote that reverberated with me and has stuck to me to this day is that we need to decolonize our bookshelves. Yeah. That's what we need to do. When I can see myself as a 6-year-old girl with Afro puffs, with braids, this is me. This is who I am. I want to see that. I want to be able to read about my experiences. The same as, Judy Blume was one of my favorite authors growing up. When she wrote, "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." I was right there in the time and the space of that book. I'm wondering, okay, what is going on? What's going on with my body? I was there. It made reading relevant to me and I could identify with it. So it's important that we have text on our shelves and I'm not saying take away all of those other kinds of books, but there has to be a fair representation. Yeah. Another thing that I look for going into classrooms when I'm looking at classroom libraries are how old the books are. Sometimes I literally see books on shelves with yellow pages. Like, why am I flipping through this and this kid is wearing bell bottoms?
Yeah,
Like, hello?
yeah,
So we have to make sure that our books are up to date as well. Now, is that an expense? It is an expense, but there are ways that you can get free books. Here in Detroit, we have Kiwanis Club. They open up their doors for us to come get however many books we want to get, and they're new and they're relevant. So I think it's our responsibility and our job, because nobody is going to do it for us. We can't wait for somebody to come save the day. We have to go through our libraries at school,
yeah.
and we have to make sure that those books are representative of our classroom, of our demographic. What another thing Jessica Matthews mentioned was that, where there was reading, for example, and I'm just throwing this out there, she didn't say this, but Hansel Shakespeare and other readings of that type, and I have a whole story about Shakespeare, is that she replaced those with those required readings. Oh, this is the text you're going to use to enforce that skill, and this is the text. She replaced all of those texts with texts that the kids could relate to, and she saw her scores soar tremendously.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to be cognizant of how our books are reflecting our students in our classrooms.
And let me say this to folks who may not be familiar with Jessica. When I realized that she and I were going to be keynoting that conference, she's much younger than me, folks. I reached out to her. I wanted to have some kind of connection to her before we spoke, and we've been connected, so we interact every now and then on social media. Check her out, Jessica Matthews. That's like JESS, I think it's Y.
Yes.
YCA, something like that. And
Yep.
and Matthews, and check her out on I think she's on Twitter a lot. That's where I see her, or X. I don't know about her platforms outside of that, like Instagram and Facebook, but that's somebody that you all might want to be connected to. She's doing big things. Young sister out there in Flint, Michigan, as you said, a Flintstone, right? So so that's an important area for me. Those that know my work know that my work was built on cultural relevance, whether it be me as a classroom teacher, me as a principal, me as the Saturday morning AP and New Principals Academy. You're not going to find me unless I wear a Mets or a Yankees jersey, or Willie Mays San Francisco jersey, or Hank Aaron Atlanta jersey, or Bob Gibson St. Louis jersey. But they black guys. But outside of those, I'm gonna be wearing these. This is what I've been wearing for 4 years. We're in year 5 now, right? Because I identify with that, right? So so in terms of being that culturally responsive and culturally relevant practitioner, and in this case, relative to the question that I asked with Black students, so that ultimately learning becomes relatable, identifiable. And I see myself in the learning and can see it beyond the dismissal bell at 3 o'clock. It matters. So just keep that in mind, because we're talking to a leadership audience. And I got the mirror up for you, and I'll ask you all the question before I move on. Is learning relevant in your schools? And as much as someone may want to point the finger at the superintendent and the assistant soups and the board and all that, later for that this morning. What are you doing? Right? Because I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna come right to you, Melanie. But let me holler at somebody out there. You hear me, those of you who are regulars, you hear me use this word influence a lot. And if your influence is not what you need it to be in terms of getting things done that you want to get done, then that's a skill set that you have to work on. Your title can only take you so far. But what is it about your influence that you're able to get the things you want? I'm going to give you this one example, and I'm going to step away. A few years ago, I talked about this on this platform. I haven't done it lately. When I created within my school as a principal, the Institute of African-Centered Studies, right? We were able to adopt magnets in our schools, and that's the direction that I went. But the superintendent, it's not like the superintendent was like willing and just willing to embrace this. I had to bring my influence to convince him that this was something that was necessary, not just something Kafele wants, but something that was necessary for children beyond their time in school, lifelong. But I had to use influence, y'all. I had to be convincing. I had to be compelling. It wasn't, and it wasn't about me. It was about what my ideals and what I thought was going to work. But at the end of the day, I felt that children were going to benefit from it. How are you, fam, out there using your influence to get the things that your children need? And to be specific relative to my question only, Black children are being better prepared, right, in terms of cultural relevance. If I'm sitting in a classroom from pre-K to 12 and all I see is white, everything is white. The examples in the math class are white. Everything white. When do I see me and say, oh, okay, this applies to me too? As opposed to, well, this ain't really speaking to me. That matters, somebody. Forgive me for preaching, Melanie.
No, you're good, because I want to just expound a little bit on that influence piece. What influence do you have? And the second piece to that is, are you being persistent with that? Because you can be influential and you might have these ideas and you may present these to people and they may shoot you down, because the first time it's almost guaranteed that you're going to be shot down. How persistent are you with that? So you have to be persistent, especially when you're talking about influencing change, impacting change. You have to use your influence to better everything for our babies in particular. So you have to do that, and you have to be persistent with leveraging or using your influence. You have to do that too.
I love it, man. I'm so glad you threw that word in there, because that influence may not happen for us in the first go round, the second go round, the third go round. So are you going to therefore throw up your hands and quit? Or that word you just used, will you sustain your persistence until it gets done, which may require you to approach it through a different angle than you've been doing it in the past? But that's the word there, Melanie. Persistence. It matters, y'all. That's why we do this platform every week, man. I bring people here to be thinking about stuff that I ain't even thinking about. Right? Yes, yeah, good stuff. Let's go. Let me see where I am, because I've been so off script, man. I don't know where I'm at. Here we go.
All good. It's all good.
Melanie, and we're gonna get to your talking point soon. Hey, y'all, we got a lot to go, man. Tell somebody, tag somebody, text somebody, let them know we ain't done. We got work to do, man. We trying to change America's schools and internationally. Melanie, I believe, and if I'm wrong, I want you to correct me, but I don't believe that instructional coaching, instructional leadership can be optimal if there's not a culture of instructional coaching and instructional leadership in that school. If there are this thing happening where these teachers are trying to, these coaches are trying to engage teachers in that instructional coaching process, in this case, literacy coaching process, and there's a principal who says that this is an expectation, but there's no macro culture for it. I just can't see coaches being able to perform optimally within the process due to the absence of culture. If you disagree, hit me. If you do, expound.
I will therefore expound, because so as a coach, that's the most difficult position to be in, is knowing that you are there to support. That's your job. You're coming, you're supporting, you're being that thought partner, you're the facilitator of learning, all of those things. You have a plethora of instructional strategies you want to try and help and co-teach. But if that message isn't communicated to the whole culture, the whole community, then it's all for naught, basically. You know, you have to have people because, and I've seen this time and time again. Okay, we're going to do coaching. Coaching is the buzzword. We're going to be like everybody else. Let's get a coach in the building. So the coach enters the building, and I've had this happen on a few occasions. So the principal is like, okay, basically like, okay, what do you do? Are you going to help me with evaluations? Are you going to only work with those teachers who are on the unsat track or whatever you might have in your district? Are you the fixer? Basically, are you the fixer? No, sir, no, ma'am. I don't come to fix people. That's not my job. But I work closely with others so that we can figure out how to get whatever it needs to be done, done. So the culture of we have a coach, now what? Now what do we do that we have this coach? A lot of leadership really don't know how to utilize coaches to their full advantage, their full benefit. And that can be detrimental. It could damage the coach and teacher relationships. It could damage all of that. And that's exactly what we don't want to happen. So we have to make sure that, again, the playing field is even. This is why we have to have conversations. This is why communication is the key. We have to sit down, the instructional coach and the building leadership, sit down and map out a plan. We have to have a plan. Now, it doesn't mean the plan has to be aggressive, but we have to have some kind of plan, some kind of framework to place that work in so that it can be meaningful and relevant to the people receiving it. And so that's the message that we want to get out there, is that we're here we come in peace. We're here to help and not to harm. How can we best do this without offending other people, without stepping on toes? But it's imperative that we do that. Just recently in my district, the superintendent, I was not in this meeting, this is all third-hand information, was like, hey, I heard that the coaches were only spending 10 hours a week with teachers. And first of all, number one, where'd you get your information from? Number two, where's the evidence proving that this is what we're doing? Because in the district, coaching is optional. So when coaching is optional, that's another whole cat to skin.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that coaching is important and you want people to participate in the coaching, but it's optional.
Yeah.
And so when people don't really know exactly what a coach is, even still to this day, I started coaching in 2006. And to this day, people are still unaware of what a coach really do. And so when you have that kind of dynamic where we're promoting this coaching program, which, by the way, we're building it out as we speak, when you're developing or have people supposedly engaged in this coaching program, but it's optional, but you're saying we've only seen teachers on average of 10 hours a week, something has to give. So if you want us to see teachers more than 10 hours a week, we're going to need your leverage to kind of at least highly recommend that you work with the coach.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of culture that needs to be developed. It has to be very clear what a coach does and doesn't do, the expectations of a coach and what the coach can expect from the teachers or anybody else the coach works with, because I work with the school psychologists, the counselors. I'm liaisoning with everybody. So what is it that the coach actually does and how can the coach help? So we have to establish a culture of trust, first and foremost, a culture of trust, because so many times, teachers, and I can't say that I don't blame them, especially when this whole concept is new. I want to talk to you in complete confidentiality, but then they're afraid that you're going to tell that to the principal or the AP. And so that's why that building relationship piece is imperative, so that we can have that culture of trust. But the culture of trust has to constantly be fed. It has to be fed. You can't say it once and do it once and think everybody has it. You have to do it over and over and over again. How many times do we have to repeat ourselves, or how many times does it take for something to become a habit? That's the same thing.
Yeah.
So the establishing that trust, that culture, that coaching culture, it takes a lot, and it doesn't seem like it, but it takes a lot, and it builds over time.
You know, you said something that made me go way ahead of where I am in terms of the question. I may not even get to all my questions because I still want to get to your talking points before it's
Mm-hmm.
all said and done. But you know something, I have opportunity from time to time, Melanie, to speak to instructional coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instructional coaches are not necessarily my brand, but because of the work I do in instructional leadership, I'm
Mm-hmm.
invited to speak in conferences where they're present. So then I'll do a breakout session, for example, and then the room will be solely instructional coaches. It might be a session
Mm-hmm.
for them. So it's interesting. Most of the time, when I do a session with instructional coaches, I never get to my content because I open up the floor before I speak. What are some
Mm-hmm.
of your concerns? And the whole room has these concerns. So I wind up spending my hour addressing their concerns. I
Mm-hmm.
compiled a list of some of these concerns, and I want to share them with you. And I want us to delve into two of them. But let me give you
Okay.
this list. There's about how many we got here? 4, 5, about 11 of these. Some of the teachers, this is some of the things they say. Some of the teachers don't respect us in this capacity because they see us, because they see us, wait, because they see us as peers, right? So they don't
Mm-hmm.
respect us in this capacity of coach because they see us as peers.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, some of the teachers don't feel we are needed. Some of the teachers don't want to be bothered with us. Some of the teachers feel that we don't have anything substantive to offer. Some of the teachers feel that our presence in their classrooms is an intrusion or a distraction or
Mm-hmm.
invasion. Some of the teachers feel that meeting with us is a waste of their time. Some of the teachers feel that since administration isn't in their rooms, why should we be in their rooms?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the teachers can be disrespectful. Some of the teachers feel that they are beyond learning from us. And then finally, these final two is where I want to go. It can be challenging to forge relationships with some of the teachers due to their lack of trust of us and the process, which is what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
These particular teachers feel that we are reporting back to administration on their performance in the classroom. So that's one. And then the other
Mm-hmm.
one is we lack real authority because we are not administrators. So
Mm-hmm.
what I want to do, I'm willing to bet that everybody on this thread that's either a principal or an assistant principal has these same issues to contend with their instructional coaches, those that have instructional coaches, because we know that there's some schools that don't even have them. So let me read that to you again, that one, that last one, because I know I threw so much out there. It can be challenging to forge relationships with some of the teachers due to their lack of trust of us and the process. These particular teachers feel that we are reporting back to administration on their performance in the classroom. And then lastly, we lack real authority because we are not administrators. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts?
First of all of the above to the other ones that we're not going to talk about in particular. But let's go to the authority piece. So, when we're talking about coaching to increase the academic achievement of the students in our building, we're talking about, again, some people just have this notion that you're in here spying on me. You're just going to run back and tell the principal everything that I'm doing in my classroom. And so we don't have the authority to say, okay, we have this new reading initiative, we have these program resources. Let's sit down and co-plan, and this is what we're going to do. Let's have this conversation, and then go back into the room for an observation after we've sat and co-planned this lesson and see nothing that we talked about. So we can't say, well, you should have done this, or you need to. You have to do, have to. We can't do all of and say all of those things because we don't have the authority to do so. We are their peers. In many, I think, of districts across the nation, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but I think every instructional coach is under the teacher umbrella. So they are our peers.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're looking at a peer, they know that we don't have that kind of leverage. We don't have that muscle. And so they will push back. That's going to happen. It has happened. It has happened to me many of times.
Mm.
And so the question then becomes, when do I report this to my administrator? If a job is to be done, that's just my job. Granted, I don't have students in my room. I'm not responsible for report cards, but I'm still in the teacher realm. That's still my thing. In the contract, I am listed as a teacher. So I have no leverage. So then that's when I have to go and talk to the principal very carefully, because I have to watch my words. I don't want anything that I'm saying to end up in some teacher's evaluation. I have to very carefully say, okay, well, I've been working with Mrs. X for a good amount of time, and we just haven't made any progress. And so ding, that's a signal for you to find out why progress hasn't been made. But yeah, we don't have the authority, and it's really difficult for us to do our jobs, what we know that needs to be done, without having authority. Now, how do you do that? The other question is, how do you give coaches that kind of authority without them being administrators?
Yeah.
That's the other question.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really fine line. When you have good coaching relationships with some of the teachers in your buildings, you can be more persistent. You can push a little harder. You can nudge a little deeper because they trust you, which was the other one. They trust you. But in order for that trust to get to where it needs to be so the work can really and truly be done, it starts with relationships. Now, I've seen, on the other hand, where coaching was mandatory. And while they were coaching, was it really impactful? Was there anything really getting done? Because, I'm doing this as an action that I have to do. And then the teachers are, well, you got to be here. So is it really impactful that way when coaching is forced on someone? So the whole thing is finding that sweet spot.
Yeah.
What's the sweet spot? And we're still trying to figure that out. That relationship piece is where it begins. Everybody's not going to be open to working with you. I had a teacher tell me, and I'm grossly paraphrasing, I've been teaching for 43 years. What are you going to tell me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's in a nutshell, that's what she said. So, she threw 43 out there. and she
with
had
43 years, there's probably a whole lot to learn for that teacher to learn, because a lot of your practices might be something you were doing a long time ago.
Exactly. And which brings me right back to being a lifelong learner. That question should never be in the mind of an educator, in my opinion. What more is there for me to learn? There's plenty for you to learn. There are new developments in education every day, new innovations, with COVID taking us the way that it did, and all of these technologies that we can employ to help with teaching, coaching, and leadership. There's plenty out here to be learned. Yeah. So yeah, that relationship piece, it has to be done slowly, and it has to be done strategically. And you have to be able to know how to finesse certain situations. You have to know when to proceed and when to retreat. So that trust in the coaching relationship is imperative for the coaching work to be done. And I wish we did have a little bit more authority, but then we're on that fine line again. Like, where do we fall there?
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Dr. Rella Hicks, do me a favor. Hit me with an inbox and let me know if you're an instructional coach, because I didn't realize you were an instructional coach. So just hit me with an inbox on any of the platforms. I'll see it. I'm just curious about that, and I'll tell you why later. Where we at? I gotta. I'm sitting here fighting Melanie. I wrote this question. See, this is when you're on a plane for 4 hours, sitting at a gate, and you got nothing to do, nowhere to go. You're just sitting there and you start creating. And I wrote a question. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 7 parts to it, right? Ooh. So I don't know that I want to go into all 7 because I'm anxious to hear your talking points. But let me at least get some of this. I'm starting it off. I'm thinking about just the horror stories of children existing in schools, functionally illiterate, right? And we hear those horror stories. We hear about those kids who graduate from high school and cannot read, right? So I got this again, this, what I say, 7-parter, 8-parter. Where does Melanie Matthews-Calhoun place the blame when a kid can go all them years, whether it be 12 years, 7 years, whatever number of years, a lot of years, and it was never detected or never addressed? People knew, but never addressed. Where do you place blame?
It's a shared, it's shared, because there are so many mechanisms in the system where something like that should have been caught. Now, I don't place the blame on any one person, but I place the blame on people not recognizing and stepping up hard enough to do something about it. We might have situations where the teacher knows, okay, well, you know what, little Johnny is not fully prepared. We might recommend that he stays back a grade, whatever the case may be. And then the parents would advocate for their child, which I believe in parent advocacy. I was one of those parents, that little Johnny be promoted to the next grade. Now, okay, if little Johnny is promoted to the next grade, knowing that he might not be fully prepared for the next grade level, what other things can we do? What other resources can we provide? When he gets to the next grade, let's have some intense intervention sessions for little Johnny. Let's provide after school homework club. Let's provide all of these other resources to help support. So that might be a scenario. Another scenario is, back in the day, they used to call it social promotion. You kind of age out of a grade. We don't want 16-year-olds to be sitting in an 8th grade classroom. So therefore, we're going to go ahead and promote this student. But I think the blame, it's a shared responsibility. And I think blame is kind of harsh. We have to make sure that we are engaging with our families in a continuous manner. Letting them know, as teachers, our fingers are fingers on the pulse. So we're able to give that real time, that in the moment information before it gets even higher up the level. So what are we doing as educators to make sure that we don't have any kids slipping through the cracks and being promoted and they're not ready? What programs do we have in place? MTSS, MTSS is one of the ways, or a way to identify some of the kids who might not be successful in the current grade. What can we do? What kind of supports can we lend? Does your school have a child support or a student support team where they're looking further into maybe external partnerships that the school might have to get the kind of support that's needed for these students? It's a complex situation, and it takes many hands to make things work, but it's all of our responsibility. The school, the community, the home, it's all of our responsibilities to catch our babies and be able to be there to support them and give them the help and the guidance that's needed in real time.
With us having this leadership audience, with so many principals, APs, there's a lot of instructional coaches on here too. I can kind of tell from the comments that I'm reading. But I want to ask you, from your vantage point, is there an accountability when we talk about just whatever the volume of children who are functionally illiterate in school? Is there an accountability to be placed upon administration?
I think there's some accountability on administration, yes, because as a coach, we need administrators to have our backs. And we are the people with that instructional knowledge. We have all of these tools at our dispense, and we have that. We need our administrators to back us up. If we're saying we need to see A, B, and C in the classrooms, then we need for you to provide that reinforcement to see A, B, and C in the classrooms, because we're in there and we see the kids. And, I've been outside of my job role or description. I've been in classrooms and was like, okay, can I just let me take these two? And I'll go and provide some intense reading instruction for those kids. I've done that so many times because I'm there and I can see it. So absolutely, the principal has some accountability in it. Again, it's a shared responsibility, but the principals, being instructional leaders of that building, you have to be in, you have to own the data. And with that data, you have to make sure that we're looking at it, we're analyzing it, and we're making sure that we're doing what the data is suggesting needs to be done. And so, yes, I do believe that principals hold some accountability in that as well.
Now, as a principal, as an assistant principal, I need instructional coaches who are proficient at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I can't have my hands and feet in
Mm-hmm.
everything in that building. I gotta be able to trust the people around me, and that's
Yep.
inclusive of the coaches, whether it be math coach, and reading coach, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you then, where talk to us about the accountability on the instructional coach
Mm-hmm.
in this regard relative to young people who cannot read.
So our responsibilities as coach. Now we have literacy coaches who, only literacy, and then we have instructional coaches who might not be very well equipped to only handle literacy situations, but through the instructional practices, you can kind of get there. So my responsibility as a literacy coach, because I am accountable, as I just said a few minutes ago, if I'm in a classroom and I see that these kids are struggling, I'm not a classroom teacher, true, but I am a reading specialist. It's endorsed on my certificate. I know what to do. And so in those cases, and I encourage everybody to do it, but again, there's another fine line, because the thought might then become, well, since you're working with these kids, why don't you just take a group of kids every day? So we don't want that dynamic to happen either. But as a coach, absolutely, I'm responsible for that. I hold some accountability, because I have to make sure that the teachers that I'm coaching are equipped to teach literacy, through training, through professional development. And it doesn't always have to be in a formal setting. It can be an informal thing. Hey, you have 15 minutes for us to meet. I noticed this was happening in the classroom. I want you to tell me your thoughts around that.
Mm-hmm.
Might I invite you to look at what I found? Let's look at this regarding literacy. You're saying you're having a difficult time with students reading fluently. Okay, this is what I saw. Let's work on this together. So it's my responsibility to catch those things too. That's why when I had first become a literacy coach, and I had the pleasure of going into other people's classrooms to see, okay, I see what's not being done, and I see what's being done correctly. Let's address both of those. Let's set you up so that maybe you can be a classroom where we can do walkthroughs so that you can demonstrate how to teach this skill proficiently. And so sometimes as coaches, we have to be able to leverage the human resources we have as well. So even if, for example, I'm an instructional coach and I'm at the high school level, and I really don't know about history to the point where this teacher knows history. I don't know your content like you know your content,
Right.
but I can set up instructional walks, and I can see that, okay, you're willing to do it. You're doing this thing the way that it's supposed to be done in your class. Hey, let's get our teachers involved and let's go. And it's non-threatening. It's a non-threatening way to promote learning when you're using peers in the learning process. So absolutely, I have some accountability. My accountability comes in jumping into spaces when I know that I need to be there. And my accountability is, okay, if it goes beyond my depth of knowledge, who can I contact and partner with that can come in and help me to do what I'm supposed to do?
Love it. Love it. I want to transition to your talking points.
Okay.
We're not done yet, folks, but but before I make the transition, I want you all to know how to connect with Melanie, whether it be just connecting to read her posts, whether it be for professional development, whether it be for any kind of speaking, whether it be for her books, because she's an author as well. So whatever it is that she that you would want to connect with her, give them that information. I'm gonna put you on the screen by yourself for a second. Give them that information, and then we'll come right back.
Okay. So if you want to connect with me, which I would love if you did to keep this conversation going, you can find me easily on Instagram. That's like my go-to platform. So I'm at Literacy at Work. So that's me on Instagram. I am also on X, Literacy at Work. I'm also on Threads, Literacy at Work. And I'm also on Facebook, Literacy at Work LLC. So those are the ways that you can keep in contact with me socially. My email address is Melanie at literacyatwork.net. .net, not .com. So it's Melanie at literacyatwork.net. So I love to continue connecting, building these bonds and sharing ideas. This is what I do. I love to do this.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Y'all got that. And we're going to do it again. But I have this book here. It's a planner, actually. The Productive Coach. And this is by Melanie, right? The Productive Coach.
Yeah.
You can go right to Amazon and get it. Just like I got it from Amazon. Let me tell y'all something about when you see me with all these books. I've never asked an author to send me a book for whatever the reason. I don't even want to get into why, but I've never asked a guest, I should say, to send me their book. I buy them, right? So I got, if you saw this table over here, I know you see like right in the corner, there's a little corner of stuff. These are all books from people who've been on this platform. And it's my wife. I probably shouldn't be saying this. My wife's standing right here because she hates it. It's our dining room table, and it's got all the books of the guests that I've had on this show. And this will be added to it, right? So, but this is a planner, and you're not gonna be able to really see what's happening in here. It's a lot of pages. That ain't gonna work. All I'm gonna tell you is this is an awesome planner for a coach. I spent a little time before I went to bed last night at like 2 o'clock, whatever it was, going through this to see what the contents were, so that I would know how to present it. But this is an excellent planner for an instructional coach. You can go to Amazon and get yourself a copy along with the other material that Melanie has out there, and visit the website because there's a whole lot of great resources there as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go to your talking points. All right. Let's go to your talking points. Let me just kind of switch my screen here. And we're not going to hold you long, folks. We got like, I think it's 5 of them all together. And the first one you indicated, you said, and this one really got me. You said there's no such thing as a resistant teacher. And the reason, I'm going to be vulnerable on this one. I'm going to be transparent, Melanie. I talk about the resistant teacher all the time. That's part of my presentation, right? And you said that. I'm like, all right, I can't wait to hear what she's got to say. So the floor is yours.
So there is not a such thing as a resistant teacher. And I knew that would get your attention. Yeah. That's why I put it first.
It got my attention.
Because it's not the teacher who is resistant. It's their behaviors. We aren't born going in a classroom with resistance. Resistance is not a trait. That's not one of the traits that we come into this world with, or we walk into the classroom with. We walk into the classroom with all the good intentions of the world. We, for the most part, and I think I could say this about everybody on here, when you walked into the classroom, your eyes are wide open. You wanted to do everything. But over time, when you settled into your role and you saw what policies had influence over what we do and how we do it, then your behavior starts to shift. So it's the behaviors, not the traits. So I like this because I had to shift my way of thinking. As a teacher, as an instructional leader, when we're looking at data, we're looking at these test scores or whatever, and we are like, oh my goodness, little Johnny, he's a tier 3 kid, or she's a tier 3 student. No, he is not a tier 3 kid, and no, she is not a tier 2 student. They are students who have deficits that require tier 3 instruction and tier 2 instruction. There's a difference. One of my pet peeves is for teachers or whomever in education, she's tier 2. We created a document in another district I worked in, and I went through the whole document and changed all of that language. Like, no, students with tier 3 needs, students with tier 2 needs. So these are needs that these students have. The same as with adults, these are behaviors. And so I delved a little bit more deeply into that. And I found a book that is written by Rick Maurer. And the name of that book is Beyond the Walls of Resistance. And he outlines 3 different levels of defensive behaviors. So, and I'm pretty sure that everybody here can relate to one of these levels that they have come across in their leadership capacity. So the first level is a reluctant behavior. So their behaviors are reluctant because they don't understand the purpose of why they have to do what they have to do. So they're a little like, I don't know. Let me think about that. So it's the reluctant behavior that they are showing. Level 2, out of the 3 levels, level 2 is the resistant behaviors. Here's where the resistant behaviors come in, because those are people who have an emotional reaction to whatever's coming down the pipe, the change. They have an emotional reaction because they don't think that they might not be able to do the change. They're not equipped. They're not skilled to handle that piece of the change. So again, level 1, defensive behavior, is the reluctant teacher or the reluctant behavior, because all of us can possess that. Level 2 is the resistant behavior. And level 3 is the defiant behavior. And these are people that's just like, nope, not going to do it. I don't care what you put in front of me. I am not going to do it. And with saying all of this, I cannot say these things and be like, and I've never done any of this before, because I would not be telling you the truth. Because I recall a time when I was the defiant teacher. You know, we got a new reading program. This is when I was teaching 2nd grade. We got a new reading program, and, you know, everything is do it yesterday. You know, it's always never proactive, right? It's we have it, do it yesterday. And so I'm looking at this reading program and I see this outline of everything we're supposed to get through in a 90-minute block of time. And I'm just like, I don't think I can do this. This is because it's new material to me. So that means I have to commit a lot of time to kind of studying it so that it can at least flow when I present it to my students. So it's new material to me. So here comes the consultants. We had the consultants of this program in the building. And so when the consultant came in the room, I'm like, oh, okay, there she is. And so she wanted to see me in action. And I was 100% defiant. It's like, I want to see you do it.
Yeah.
Show me what you want me to do here.
Yeah.
Am I saying that was the right thing to do? Nope. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but I'm telling you, I've been that. You know, I'm in my astro body now. I'm looking at myself. That was me. So I was that defiant teacher who just wanted to see, in all, what it was that I didn't know how to do it so soon. I wasn't ready. And so since this was being rolled out, show me how to do it. At least show me how to do it. And so with her help, she and I went through the list of things I was supposed to get through in this short amount of block of time. And she pulled out some things and said, okay, well, maybe this will be a little bit more manageable. And she did actually model how to do it. So, you know, we have to be aware of how we're labeling people. The teachers are not resistant. They have these defensive behaviors. And there are some ways that, especially as administrators, you can help with each type of these behaviors. For example, if you're looking at dealing with teachers with reluctant behaviors, I mean, remember, those are the ones that don't know the purpose and why do we have to change? Some things that you can do as an administrator is, you know, share inside knowledge and reach outward to people. Many times we have experts right under our own noses and we don't know that they're there. You know, people have been in places that we probably don't know that they've been. So solicit those people. You know, when teachers don't know why, one of the things you might want to do is cite examples of practices. Or I know at one time in my career, we were able to go to different buildings to see this new program implementation. And it still happens now, because where I am now, we had a group of math teachers come from about 30 miles away to see the implementation of building thinking classrooms in our math classrooms. So do that kind of thing when people don't understand the why of the change and you're dealing with teachers that have reluctant behaviors. For those teachers who are displaying resistant behaviors, there's an emotional reaction to this change. What you want to do is make sure that their workload isn't too much, because everybody has so many things on their plate, right? So how is this going to work with your current workload? So show them how that's going to be done. Coaches, you can do it too. This isn't just an administrator thing. You can do it too. Show them how it's going to look like. You might want to take some time. Like if there's a big resistance, you're experiencing resistant behaviors from a lot of teachers, take some time, sit down, and address the issue. A lot of times we just don't talk about things.
Yeah.
Talk about it. That right there can take the weight off of people's shoulders.
Yeah.
And then when you're talking about addressing those teachers who have defiant behaviors, one thing you want to do is to talk about, again, the innovation or the change, and you want to make gradual steps toward that. And now, given there are some situations, because I've come from a lot of them, do it now. It has to be done now. So it can't necessarily be gradual, but what you want to do is you want to involve those people with the defiant behaviors, sit down and talk with them and ask them why. Ask them why. You want to encourage people to talk about what happened in the past, because it might be some things that they've experienced in the past that's carried over to now. Last time we had to pick a new science curriculum, it didn't go so well, so I'm not on board with this new science curriculum. So a lot of times it takes an ear. It takes an ear, because so many times teachers feel that things are done to them instead of with them, which is going to lead to something I'm going to talk about a little later. So that's why there isn't a such thing as a resistant teacher, because they're not resistant by nature. They are exhibiting defiant behaviors.
I love the explanation. I think that's powerful stuff. I think that's good for us all to hear at the various levels that are represented here. Let's go to that second one. I'm gonna put you on the screen by yourself again, and I'm addressing something outside. That's why I came back with my glasses tinted. But the floor is yours. You said the coach and administrator relationship is a key component for accomplishing initiatives. Talk to us about what you mean there.
Yes. So we have to have a good relationship, as I've said throughout this time with us being together, with administrators. We're really partners. We're partners in this thing called education. And when it comes to accomplishing initiatives, we have to make sure that, again, we're on the same page. We're speaking the same language, one band, one sound. We cannot afford to be in a situation where, I feel this way about something, the principal feels another way about something, because teachers and the rest of the school community, they're going to pick up on those feelings, on those vibes. So we have to be on the same accord. Now, if you're working with a principal that might not know as much about instructional coaching as you think that they should know about, or if you want to make sure that your message is clear, it's nothing wrong with having a principal coach agreement, like a written agreement, spelling out different components of your coaching work, spelling out the different expectations of your coaching work. That will help with initiatives, because, for example, if I'm rolling out, I'll go back to the disciplinary literacy, because that's something that's happening now. If I'm all involved with that initiative and I'm asking the principal, hey, we need to do A, B, and C, but the principal has little to no knowledge about disciplinary literacy, then that initiative is not going to be a strong one. It's going to be innately weak, because we're not speaking the same language, so to speak. So the coach and administrator relationship is key for accomplishing initiatives, because we have to make sure that everybody hears the same way, at the same time. My job as a coach, when that message is shared, is to sit individually with teachers and make sure that their understanding is what it should be, to make sure that they understand everything, to make sure that if they have any clarifying questions, I'm there to answer. Even if I don't know the answer, I am there to find the answer. Okay, I don't know it now, but I could get back with you with that answer. So that's why it's imperative that, if we want to get these initiatives up and running, that we have to have a great coach administrator relationship so that we can see the fruits of our work that's being put out there.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I'm sorry about that. I think I got done what I need to get done though. Appreciate it. And then right after we go off, I'm gonna listen to everything I missed. Right. So let me go to the next one. You said the most effective way to be a catalyst for change is to create ownership, not buy-in. Before you go, let me just share my thoughts here. The most effective way to be a catalyst for change is to create ownership, not buy-in. Folks out there, fam, and Melanie's going to explain. I'm not even going to say much about it. All I will say, the two are so different. I could buy, like just to use the analogy, I could buy anything, but it doesn't mean, and I'm talking about in terms of dollars and cents right now. I can buy anything, but it doesn't mean that I embrace what I bought. Right? I bought some sneakers recently from a company which I won't promote on here. Good company. I bought some walking shoes, some running shoes, and I liked them for a minute, meaning for a week, but they are on their way to the trash can because as I wore them, I said I didn't like them. Now let me hold my foot up here. I just got these new joints right here. This is the first time I ever wore them because they were sitting here waiting. I've been out for a week, so I don't need to wear them while I'm doing the Saturday Academy. But I said, let me put them on my feet to see how they feel for the 2 hours I'll be on here. And so far, so good.
All right now.
The proof will be when I get outside and do that exercise, right? As to whether or not I can take ownership as opposed to just buying in that I need some walking shoes, right? / running walking shoes. So with that said, what are you saying to us here with the most effective way to be a catalyst for change is to create ownership, not buy-in?
Yes. So let's take it back just one step. So as an instructional coach, we have many roles that we fall into. And Joellen Killian of Learning Forward spelled these roles out years ago. When I first became a coach in 2006, the roles existed. So there are 10 of these roles. And I know I'm not going to be able to recall all 10 of the roles, but some of the roles of an instructional coach are to be a resource provider, to be an instructional specialist, to be a data coach, to be a mentor, to provide resources. And one of those roles is to be a catalyst for change. Now, with that, at that time, back then, I'm like, now, how can I influence change? Like, I'm just a small gal in this game. How can I influence change? And so with that catalyst for change, when I began to grow in the role and I could see different places, I'm like, oh, that's how I can be a catalyst for change. Now, with being a catalyst for change, I'm not trying to have people to buy into what I think. Rather, I want them to have ownership in what we create. So the difference between buy-in and ownership is that buy-in is really kind of like a state of mind. It's the understanding that change is going to happen. Something has already been created. Those gym shoes have already been made. And now all I have to do is step my feet in those gym shoes to feel that change. That's buy-in. It's already been created. Now I need to throw a hook and line out to you to bring you into it. And I want you to see my vision the way that I saw my vision. Versus ownership being that we're going to sit down and we're going to have some discussion around this. Now, there's a difference between dialogue and discussion. Dialogue is when we're talking about things, throwing things out on the table. Discussion is when we're talking about it to make a decision. So we're going to have a discussion around whatever change is going to come. With ownership, the people who are involved in that process, they take ownership over it because that's something that they helped to create. They were a part of the development. They were a part of the thinking. They were a part of the deciding before we got this final thing that we're going to do. So when you have ownership, or when you can create ownership versus buy-in, what it does is it gives people take responsibility, and they take to it as it's theirs. They hold it close to their chest. I helped to create this vision of a successful learner in our school. So with that, this is how a successful learner looks. These are the things I have to do in order to have my students become successful learners, or have the teachers in the building become successful instructors. So these are the things that I do. It means that having ownership, you participated in things, versus buy-in, it was already done. It was done for you. Let's use another analogy. So I can go to a store and I can find the most adorable painting. Oh, it's this lady with this hat and it's tilted to the side and it looks so nice. And I would like it. But if I went and painted that, if I painted that same picture, I'm going to like and respect that one more because I had something to do with its creation. I took ownership in that creation. So the next time you're thinking about, or before you use the word, okay, we have to create buy-in. Is that what you really want to do? Or do you want to have people a part of the process and them take ownership in it so that they own it and it's internal and they'll be able to produce, or they will have more, it'll be more meaningful for them to go out and do that. So that's the difference between buy-in and ownership.
I love it. I love it. Buy-in and ownership, two different things here. We got two more, folks. Managing and monitoring actions can catapult coaching and leadership success. Now, to the fam out there that maybe doesn't know this format, this particular aspect of the format of this Saturday Academy, the second part of the session, we do talking points, and these are 5 items that I asked my guests to just send me 5 items of where you're just absolutely passionate about whatever. Mm-hmm. But what I'm decided to do starting today was not only to have the person to articulate the particular talking point, but I put them on the screen by themselves, right? So I just want you to understand what's happening. It's all deliberate, right? So with that being said, the floor is yours.
So managing and monitoring actions can catapult both coaching and your leadership success. So Principal Kafele held up the journal. He held up the journal a little while ago. That's a way for coaches to manage how they're coaching right there. You can manage how you're coaching in this journal, and you can monitor the productivity that you're producing based on the coaching that you record. This isn't something that you're putting on a show for. Okay, well, I'm just going to log 15 hours. That's not that. That's a true reflection of what you're doing so that you can become a better coach, so that you can support in the areas that need to be supported. So when you're monitoring your coaching actions, you're monitoring how much time you spend in meetings with the principal. You're monitoring how much time you're spending in classrooms, how much time you're spending developing professional development or workshop. When you monitor those things and you have a good management system like that journal, then you can become a more effective coach, which can lead to success. Now, I don't want to limit coaching as being in this coaching role, because coaches are leaders. You're leaders. So how are you honing your skill and your craft as a leader? Are you talking to your principal not only about what you're seeing in the classroom on a very high level, but also are you talking about, some future opportunities that might be of interest to you, so that you can hone in and fine-tune your eye, fine-tune your perspective, and look at things from a building leader's perspective as well. So even if you're in the coaching role, in the instructional leadership role as a principal, when you work together and when you monitor what you're doing, and you're managing what you're doing. Coaches, I'm not talking about managing people because that falls in the supervisory role and that's not what you do. But when you're managing your actions, well, when I spent time in this room, was it really all to focus on student engagement, or what did I really do? Fine tuning it. That's how you can become successful, because again, the key is in reflection. You have to reflect on your practice in order to be able to grow your practice. And so with that, managing and monitoring actions can catapult your coaching and your leadership success. Having a system, an organized system, and it doesn't have to be the journal. I know some people are tech savvy and you're using spreadsheets and all of those things. It's just that I'm old school, new school. I have one foot in old school with the paper because I got to carry it. I have to take it. I got to carry it. Old school in the paper, new school on the computer. But I like the portability of having the paper pencil.
I'm like you. I'm old school. I still buy the yearly calendar from Staples, and when I'm in offices of, say, principals or superintendents when they're younger than me, and I pull out my calendar, like they want to ask me if I'm available a certain date for something, and I pull it out, they typically laugh at me, like you're not serious. Yeah, I'm old school, and then I got stuff that I've scratched out and all that stuff, and it looks so messy. And I said, yeah, I tried the computer. I mean, the phone thing. I really did. I tried it and I hated it. I just didn't like it at all.
I can do the phone thing. I'm getting used to that. I'm gonna have to put you on game on erasable ink pens, so you won't be
okay. Yeah, I know they're there, and I guess I'm so old school. See, I'm old school before they invented them things, right? But the other thing is, when I need to see the month at a glance, right? And see, on the phone, I can't see no month at one time. Yeah, I got it. When I open that thing, I got to see the entire June, right? And then when I turn to July, I got to see the entire July because of my travel schedule. I got to see it that way. I can't doing all that. So I'm gonna stay old school. Stay that way. Let me put this last one up here. The best learning occurs through collaboration. Floor is yours.
Absolutely. I don't know everything. I'll tell people that all the time. I don't know it all, because if I did, guess what? I wouldn't be a lifelong learner, right? Right. So I don't know everything, but if I can connect with you, then you can, kind of extend my ideas and I can learn something from you. And if I connect with you, you can do the same thing. And if we all come together as a unit, think of how powerful that is. So collaboration is important in honing your skills and learning what others think and feel, because their thoughts and feelings about the work of education is just as important as yours. So you can collaborate to see how they think and feel, what their ideas are, and meet somewhere in the middle. It's not all about having everything my way. That's not how it is. It's not about having everything your way, but let's collaborate and make this good thing a great thing. That's what collaboration is. We have to work together for the benefit of all. Now, when we collaborate, it doesn't mean that none of my ideas are used, and it doesn't mean all of my ideas are used. Some of them might be. There has to be some give and take. But when we collaborate, that makes things greater. Now, as a coach, there are a few different coaching stances you can take. You can be a coach who is actually mediating the thinking. You can be a consultant who is giving ideas and advice. You're going to give suggestions to solve that problem. Or you can be a collaborator, and you can use the best of both worlds in that stance. So collaboration will get things done quicker. It'll get things done quicker, faster, but it'll be more thoughtful. Sometimes when I'm developing things, and I have people now that I reach out to, like, hey, the first book back here, Inside Instructional Coaching. So many people had their hands on that book, and I gave those people credit in the book because they were my collaborators. They were like, well, maybe you think you're saying that too harsh when the role of an instructional coach is not to work with kids. I'm like, no, because that's the truth. So thank you, but that's not the truth. But there are a lot of things in that book that when we collaborated, I was like, you know what, you're right about that. Yep, I didn't even think about it like that. So collaboration is great for the greater whole of the good, and it works. It works. Coaches are siloed, so to speak. We have our own little lane. We're right in the middle. We have administrators and we have teachers, and we're right in the middle on our own little lane. And so sometimes we can feel like we're in a silo. So in that case, reach out to other coaches, to collaborate. There are so many groups on social media that you can become a part of for collaborative thoughts and ideas. So be that. So yep, the best learning, I learn the most when I hear other people's thinking, I see other people's thinking, connect it with mine, process it, digest it. That's when my learning occurs.
Love it. Love it. Let me get you back up here. Love it. Love it. Love it. And I think yeah, that was the last one. So let's go to our BAM impact questions.
Okay.
They are rapid fire, one sentence or one word answer. If you feel like you're about to insert a comma, catch yourself and say that's too long, right? Here we go. Is education on the right path for underserved children in America?
No.
Are you optimistic about the educational prospects for the masses of black and brown students in America today?
No.
Can true equity occur in America's schools for black, brown, and other underserved students?
Yes.
Does Melanie Matthews-Calhoun's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Absolutely.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It'll be the same.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Because I love what I do.
What fires you up particularly within the work that you do?
Creating spaces for teachers to be safe.
What do you love about the work you do?
Influencing change.
What do you dislike about the work that you do?
Politics.
What has been your greatest victory in this work?
Seeing teachers' light bulbs come on.
What has been your greatest mistake in this work?
Not knowing what to do when I first began coaching.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work?
Getting adults to move.
Who inspires you in your work?
So many people, many people.
Yeah. What are you reading right now? It could be a book, but it doesn't have to be. Article, blog, tweet, doesn't matter.
So many things. But one thing is the 15 Laws of Personal Growth.
What book would you recommend for our viewers this afternoon?
Outside of mine, I would recommend.
Recommend yours, though.
There's one on leadership by Brene Brown. I can't recall it. It's on leadership.
Yeah. Where we at? Okay. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Reaching out to educators globally.
I love it. Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
No.
What could you do? What could you say to a viewer out there who continues to face closed doors?
Like Run DMC stomped through them with your Adidas on.
What could you say to a viewer out there who's lost their fire?
Reignite it. It's worth it.
And if Melanie Matthews-Calhoun was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Fabulous.
I love it. Fabulous. Hey, let me tell you something, Melanie. This was a powerful session. This was a powerful session. Folks out there in the fam world, if you enjoyed the session today, if it was beneficial, if it was meaningful, if it resonated with you, if it was useful, if you could take it back to your school and use aspects, if not all of it, give us those emojis. Let us know how you felt. That's the way that we applaud our guests. So give us those emojis. I see them already started, but give us those emojis, whatever your favorite emojis are. Give us those emojis so that we can applaud our guests, since we don't, since social media, well, since streaming media doesn't have sound yet for our guests to be able to express themselves. And I would get my emoji out while we're at it. Got my, I normally say my Josh Gibson, but I'm gonna say my Willie Mays today since I'm wearing the Willie Mays Negro Leagues jersey. Birmingham Black Barons. So every time you went to the plate, you hit it out the park. Grand slam, 4 runs in every time. Oh man, what a session, what a word, and these numbers, man. We are, you know, in terms of real-time numbers, peak numbers, as opposed to what you see when you look at the number of views when you go on a Facebook page or a social media page. That's one thing, but in terms of what I get to see, the peak numbers, we almost at 900. So and that's after, you know, 2 hours and some change. So that's good stuff. I appreciate all of you for being here, and then those of you that hung in here so long, I appreciate that. That's a big deal when I see numbers that look like this on the StreamYard side, which compile all the platforms together as one. So appreciate you all. Melanie, tell them again, how do they reach you? How do they connect with you on social media? How do they book you? How do they buy your books? All that good stuff.
Yes.
Let them know.
So social media, again, at Literacy at Work on Instagram, at Literacy at Work on X, at Literacy at Work on Threads, Literacy at Work LLC on Facebook. I am in the middle of a huge transition. I am going to give you my website, but just know that will be changing soon. But my website is literacyatwork.net. So you can go to my website and get in touch with me there as well. The books I have, as Principal Kafele has already said, the Productive Coach, I talked about that. It has the Months at a Glance. Hello. Months at a Glance. And you can, it's undated. You track your time and everything in that one. Inside Instructional Coaching is meant as a primer. It's the A to Z of coaching strategically. So if you are aspiring to be a coach, this is what you need. And then in the back behind me, I have the formula. I can't point right. 101 must-have forms for instructional coaches. If you're talking about coaching cycles, that's where you find it. If you're talking about doing proficient walkthroughs, that's where you find them. It's over 101 forms in that book. And it's a form for every part of your coaching that you need. It's divided into 5 sections. The pre-work, your pre-work, the before, during, and after. And then there's a section that tells you how to fill out the form. So that's a great one to have as well. But my big thing I want to share with you is my virtual conference, the Mind Your Coaching Institute, that will be here in a few weeks, less than 2 weeks, on July 10th. It is from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, it's a virtual conference. So right now it's about 95 degrees outside with the heat index at 105. You can be comfortable in your house on this conference, learning all the good stuff. I have over 50 recordings, just the recordings, over 50. And I have 5 keynote presenters. And if somebody begs me enough, then I will even replay our interview we had last year with Principal Kafele and I, because he interviewed for the Institute last year. So I'll make that available as well. So that's the big thing. Registration is easy. Go to mindyourcoachinginstitute.com and you can register there. But that's what I have coming up. I have a couple of more speaking engagements in the future, but for the here and now, for our summertime learning, that's what's up.
That's mindyourcoaching.com, right?
Mind Your Coaching Institute.
Let me
.com.
Let me hurry up and type that .com. I hope I didn't misspell anything here. Let's see what we got here. Mind Your Coaching Institute.
Yep.
.com. So come on through, folks. It's virtual. You can sit there in your place of work, whatever it is, and check it out. Mindyourcoaching.com. Let me close us out and stay there for me, even off camera, so we could wrap off camera. Folks, to the fam out there, appreciate you always. Glad you're here. Always glad you're here. I work hard to make these sessions happen. And I'm gonna be working hard to make 218 happen next week. So next Saturday, I would think that several of you are familiar with my guest. His name is Dr. Sheldon Eakins, author of Leading Equity, Becoming an Advocate for All Students. He'll be my guest. He's a principal as well. He, most of you probably wouldn't know him as a principal because he was a principal before he kind of blew up in social media, but now he went back to being a principal and still doing his social media thing. So that's Dr. Sheldon Eakins. He will be with me next Saturday. Make sure that on Facebook Live every Saturday morning, beginning at 10 o'clock, you tune in to Sean Hurt, followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30, myself at 10:55, and then Josh Tovar on Sundays, PDP podcast, Sundays at 5 o'clock Eastern, all Facebook Live. Of course, we're on myself on Twitter or X, and also YouTube Live. In fact, I think I want to get back to making YouTube the primary platform for this platform, but we'll work on that later. School Leadership Institute with Principal Kafele. Join me in July 9 and 10 in Houston. Go to principalkafele.com and go to the announcements section on the home page. Just click the link and then register, and I'll see you in Houston July 9 and 10. Then come back to Houston the next week, July 18 and 21, for the Black Educators Rock Conference. We'll be together for 4 days. I'll be there the 20th and 21st. The 21st will be my full day leadership summit that I do, or session that I do every year for Black Educators Rock on a Sunday. The last day, we talk leadership from 9 to 3. So come on out here and join me. My books, I'm not going to put the books. Yes, I am. Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? The Aspiring Principal 50, the Principal 50, the Assistant Principal Identity, and the Assistant Principal 50. These are my leadership books, and I got a stack of teacher books down there, which I'm not going to show you right now. But you can get these books on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, wherever education books are sold. I should be there online. In the stores, that's a whole other gripe of mine. We ain't going to get into it. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy YouTube channel. We're at 21,300 followers or subscribers right now. I'm proud of that number, but I want to increase it. So we're at 21,300 subscribers. Hit the subscribe button. If you're not a member yet, hit the subscribe button. One more time, hit that subscribe button. And then the AP Academy, AP and New Principals Academy Facebook page, follow that. If one Sunday I just get this urge to write the commentary, then I will. But I'm taking the summer off, and I'll be back strong in September with that. But something may happen in the world, and I feel a need to express myself, and I will. So make sure that you follow that as well. Like and follow. And then lastly, make sure that you take care of yourself, right? Your diet, your exercise, your virus precautions, right? Take care of you. If you don't take care of you, there's no you to take care of these young people and your staffs. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Eat right. Now, for the second consecutive week, I didn't eat good. I didn't eat bad. I just didn't eat, right? It wasn't time, so I lost weight this week for sure. Just didn't eat. So, I ate enough to sustain myself, but in terms of having those balanced breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not this week, man, because by the time I was landing at these airports, man, everything was closed. So instead of putting junk in me, I just didn't eat. Right. So that's just where it is. That's the life, as I call it, #speaker life. That's just the life of being a speaker. So know that for those of you that want to be a part of this life of being a full-time speaker, just know that you ain't always get the meals you want, right? Because it's just not happening with the airlines, and weather and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, appreciate you all being here. See you for week 218 next Saturday. But in the interim, have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday morning. Until then,